When it comes to training rear delts, I always recommend doing Bing Bong. Today is all about shoulders. Right off the bat, I just want to say that when I do my shoulder workouts, it is usually during a chest, shoulder, tricep workout. That is how I structure that portion of my workout split. And so when I'm doing shoulders, specifically for side delts, I am not going super heavy. There was definitely a time when I was trying to, lateral raise 40, 50 pound dumbbells, whatever it might be. But over time, I've started trying to go really, really high rep, 12 to 15 reps. When I do higher reps, I feel like I'm getting the most out of that exercise. And so when it comes to a smaller muscle group like your side delts, it's definitely a sort of instance where you do not want to go super heavy because you want to be in control of the weight and the form. You don't want to start rocking around too much. So without further ado, here are a couple of the exercises that I include pretty much all of my shoulder days. First exercise, or at least the exercise that I would tend to put number one if you are doing these exercises in any type of order, is the overhead press. Now, obviously, this is a really good basic all-around shoulder movement. I tend to do them seated. I used to do them standing, but I got a little bit insecure about lower back, and there's a lot of core strength involved with the barbell and whatnot. Started to prefer seated overhead shoulder presses. Now I do them with barbell or dumbbells. It's an exercise that, while I did have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with it, started to truly enjoy it. And I think a lot of that comes down to where you're angling the bench. For a long time when I was doing overhead presses, I was somebody who was setting the bench up at a hard 90-degree angle, which I came to find out because I feel like you can never stop learning and it's never too late to find out that you were doing something kind of incorrectly. 90-degree bench is probably the worst possible way you could be doing this exercise. I have learned you want to set the bench back not too much, maybe 75-degree angle-ish, give or take, right? You don't want it to turn into an incline chest press, so it's a fine balance. As soon as I moved bench back just a little bit, it helped me with this exercise so much more. And it's an exercise that I was able to start going heavier on than I thought I initially would. Right now I'm doing probably 75, 80 ish 85-pound dumbbells, and I feel like I'm in control of the movement, which is always what I'm looking for from any of my exercises, right? You want to control the weight does not control you. Overhead shoulder press is an absolute staple, I would say. I think it probably is a little bit energy dependent. Like I said, I do a lot of stuff on these days that is not shoulders, and so sometimes it depends where I am in my workout. If I'm a little far in and I'm just then getting to shoulders, I may cut this exercise out, but a lot of the times, if I have the energy and the time, I will always start with an overhead shoulder press. Now, probably my favorite shoulder exercise, as you will see, because I have a lot of different clips of me doing it, is the side dumbbell raise. The lateral raise, the side dumbbell raise, whatever. This is one of the best shoulder exercises there is for anybody that wants that like shoulder popping out sort of look, right? That curved, the sculpted delts. This is probably the best exercise for that. Is the only shoulder exercise that I do every single time I train shoulders. I'm doing lateral raises. There are a lot of different ways to do them. I tend to do just a standing dumbbell lateral raise, just how I've always done it. It's an exercise that I feel like I get a lot out of. It's an exercise I feel really comfortable with. I did start messing around with cable lateral raises somewhat recently. I would say maybe 6-ish months ago. That has become something that I will do it if I can. A lot of the times when I'm at the gym, I don't really like to wait for stuff to open up. And so if people are using the cable machine, then I'll just grab dumbbells and I'll do it that way. But it's become one of those things where if I can do a cable lateral raise, I'd much rather do that just because I feel it even more in my delts. And again, I'm going really, really high reps with this. We're around 4 to 5 working sets of 12 to 15 reps. And not super heavy. Instead of, 40 pound dumbbells, I'm doing maybe 10, 15, 20 pounds on this. And trust me, you will feel it a ton. There is just, God, the constant tension on a cable raise is insane. It is so much more challenging than dumbbells. And that's one of the reasons I keep going back to it. It has become another staple in my shoulder days, but lateral raises in general probably by far my favorite shoulder exercise, and one that I recommend everybody does every single time you train shoulders. Is an exercise that is highly, highly beneficial to getting that rounded, sculpted shoulders look that everybody so desperately wants. If you haven't noticed by now, the way I tend to do my shoulder days is I focus on the 3 heads of the shoulder, right? You've got the front delt, the side delt, and the rear delt right back here. I have no idea if that was a good angle. When it comes to training rear delts, I always recommend doing face pulls. There are a lot of different ways you can do face pulls, or a lot of different attachments you can use and different widths. I always use the same rope that you can use for, tricep push downs and whatnot. I know it's not the exact perfect width, because usually when you're doing a face pull, you want to think about bringing your elbows as far apart as they could possibly go, right? And I saw a really good recommendation of the ending position. You almost want to think about your ending with that, strongman pose, whatever, sort of thing. It just sort of teaches you where you should be ending up on your face pull. But in order to get there, you have to really think about bringing the rope apart. This is not only a great rear delt exercise, but as somebody that trains a lot of people in terms of functionality with their workouts and long-term benefits, face pulls are a great exercise for improving your core strength, your posterior chain strength and stability, and your posture. A lot of the people I work with, and look, I'm not outside of that because I get home, I hop on the couch, I play video games, I watch, TV. We spend a lot of time hunched over, right? Humans are very anteriorly, just meaning that the front of you are very anteriorly dominant. So face pulls is a really great way to focus a little bit more on the posterior, and it works the rear delts and it works the rest of your posterior chain as well. They are a phenomenal exercise for all of those reasons, but especially if you're doing shoulders, this is an exercise that you do not want to leave out. So those are my 3 best exercises you could be doing for shoulders, and I will be completely honest, if it's not obvious, I keep my exercises super duper basic. I just feel like a lot of exercises have come and gone into the ether of fitness, and there's nothing wrong with the classics, right? There's nothing wrong with just keeping it simple, focusing on your form, your muscle contraction, muscular endurance as you try to go for higher reps or better hypertrophy. And I have no issue with keeping it super basic. I don't get bored of those exercises the way I would maybe of others. I'm not huge into bicep curls in general, or arm day or any of that. But in terms of shoulders, I have no issue keeping it basic. And these are just exercises that get the job done. They hit all 3 heads of your shoulder, provide you an effective shoulder workout. And if you give it a try, let me know what you think. Hopefully this was helpful. I'll see you guys in the next one.